So I wanted to share some of my tips for royal icing. If you're new at it, it can be tricky sometimes. When I first started, sometimes the videos on YouTube were always very clear about consistencies or how to pipe or different tips to use. Or I personally, I'll watch videos on Instagram of somebody doing royal icing and I think it looks so cool, but I'm always like, how do they do it? Why aren't they using a tip? So here's some of my tips on how to do royal icing. So I have my royal icing made. I use meringue powder. You can buy it at Joann's or Walmart, or you can buy it online through Amazon. When I do royal icing, I like to use it in a piping bag with a tip. I also use a coupler. A coupler means you put this part in the bag, and then you put on the size tip you want, and you can screw it on. And if you need to change tips, then you can just take it off, or you unscrew it, take it off, and put on a different tip. This is nice because I'm going to be using this color repeatedly in different ways, and so to outline, I'll show you this little UFO. To outline the UFO, I'm going to use the number 2 tip. It's a Wilton number 2 tip. There you go. To outline it. Now, my consistency. When you're mixing up the meringue powder and you see it in the bowl, it was the 2 teaspoons of meringue powder with 2 tablespoons of water, and then I did 1 cup of powdered sugar, mixed it up. It was a little bit thick. The thickness that it came out to be would be better if I was going to do like a flour, which I'm not. So I added another teaspoon, about a teaspoon and a half of water, and that was the perfect consistency for like an outline. I want my outline to be a little bit thicker than what I'm going to use to pool the inside, just because I want that to be firm to hold all the rest of the icing in and to not bleed. A couple other things is when I am using royal icing, I like to have a paper towel. As you can just see, if I have extra, if anything gets on the tip, I can just wipe it off. I also like to have a toothpick, and there's other tools similar to this that are fancy or whatever. I just use a toothpick in case I need to nudge a line. That way everything stays nice and clean. So I'm going to do my UFO, and I just hold it and I will start on one side. As you can see, you keep your tip lifted a little bit and you slowly bring it around. Sometimes if you go too quick, then it can break the line of icing. And then I just bring it around. If the tip gets too far off, and sometimes the line gets too tall, like I'm trying to do it like that, see how high up I am? Your line may not fall where you want it to fall, and that can cause problems. You can look at it afterwards to make sure your lines are crisp. I might do a little touch up down here in this corner. That corner was a little round. Just use my little toothpick here to kind of gently poke it and pull it'll just pull very nicely over to make the corner a little more crisp. Just any more touch-ups here. And royal icing is pretty forgiving, which is one really nice thing about using it. You can move it around before it dries all the way and kind of adjust some of those lines that you just drew. So here is my very first little UFO I've got going here. I've got a handful of these to make, so here's this. Now it is a little too thick to fill with this, and so I will show you in a minute once I get all of these iced and outlined, or once I get them all outlined, then I will show you how to flood it and get it all filled and nice and smooth, like you see the really pretty cookies sometimes. So just give me here a minute and I will show you how to do that as well. All of the cookies outlined, I went ahead and did all of them that I'm doing with red. Let's bring back a spaceship here. And I want to show you what the icing looks like. If you can see, I'll tilt the camera here instead. There we go. when I sit and kind of scoop it around, you can see how quickly it is absorbing into itself. It doesn't stay stiff. So when I was doing the outline, it was stiffer. It wasn't floating down and becoming quite as flat as quickly. So I mixed up my colors. I added about a half a teaspoon of water, but the key is just add the water slowly so that you can get an idea of how runny you need it to be to fill all these cookies. And I also switched my tip. I switched it to the Wilton number 5. Still flat, just a bigger end so that it will come out a little quicker. I don't have to work quite as hard to get them filled up. And I will just scoop it and put it right into my bag. One tip is because this is a little runnier, it is nice to actually stick the piping bag in like a mug or a cup so that you can really get a good handle on your bowl and everything out of there. And the reason you fold over the bag is when you're holding it, then you can use your fingers under there, like as an edge, to clean it up. So, here we go. And I'm just going to, let's see, I'll try and hold it a little bit towards you guys so you can see. See how easily and quickly that's coming out? Definitely runnier. It doesn't have quite the line capability that it did before. And I'm just going to go around the outside, and then I will go ahead and fill the inside. And this is because it's runnier, it will go ahead and start filling in on its own. I will just use my toothpick to kind of make sure it gets pushed all the way to the edges to touch up any areas that I may have missed. From time to time, you may get little air bubbles, and you can use your toothpick to pop those air bubbles so you don't have them ruining the surface of your cookie. I might have put a little too much on here. If that happens, you can either scoop it out or push it up towards the top here so it doesn't go over the edge. But it is doing a really good job, and it's starting to thicken up a little on the surface. As it starts to crust, you're going to have less time to get it any problems fixed. So I will show you what this looks like here. It is all the way smooth, and it is going to take a long time to dry. So I go ahead and I let them dry overnight because tomorrow I'm going to be adding on the details, the lights, the lines, some of the shadowing. So these cannot be done in a rush. That's all there is to it. You can try and sometimes have like fans going. If I'm in a little bit of a hurry, I will like have my AC going and getting these dried a little quicker. But honestly, they just need time to dry. These are the kind of cookies you need to be planning and making 24 to 48 hours in advance. For parties, I definitely give myself that extra time in case anything happens, and I will do 48 hours. I'll put them in the racks overnight to dry, and then I can pick up tomorrow and kind of start doing the details and finishing touches, or if I want to do an outline to kind of clean up any edges, you can do that. Some people will add like sprinkles or like gemstone little type sprinkles around here if you weren't doing spaceships, obviously, like I am. Here's the cute rocket ships I'm doing. Like, I'm in love with these. And something like this, because it's so small, I'm just going to fill the center, and then I will work the icing outward to the edges. And like I said, because of its consistency, it's a lot thinner. It's a lot easier to work with when you're filling these. It's very forgiving. The thicker the consistency, the less forgiving it is in terms of smoothness. You may not be able to smooth it out. You may not be able to get bubbles out. You may not be able to spread it the way you want. So when it's thinner for filling, And you don't always have to do borders. When I make a cookie that is just a single shape, say it's a star or an anchor, and it's just a single color, I'm not doing any decorations on it, I will just do a quick outline and then I'll just fill it right then and there. I'll make the consistency just a teensy bit thicker than this, but not too much. And so if just a single color, single design cookie, you can kind of skip that step. If you ever find you have like a little bump on the top, you can kind of see that in the reflection. There's a little bump right on the top there, right there. I will just give it a gentle little pat. That'll help it kind of smooth out just before it goes off to dry. And that is it. That is a really, hopefully, just informative way to get your cookies filled and iced for any kinds of parties you're doing. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm more than happy to answer your questions. Just comment below and I will answer them for you. And I'll post a picture here at the end so you can see the finished product, what these cute little spaceships and rocket or alien ships and spaceships look like. So have a great day.